Hello everyone, my name is Ghulam Ali. I am from Pakistan, and in this short video, I will discuss about coronavirus and its impact in Pakistan and Pakistan government's response to address this pandemic. The first case of coronavirus in Pakistan was found in on 26 February 2020 when a student returning from Iran was found contracted with coronavirus. By 18th March 2020, almost all provinces of the countries have registered cases of coronavirus. From February till 20th July 2020, there were about 265,000 coronavirus cases, and out of these, about 5,600 people have died out of this pandemic. There are more than 200,000 people have recovered from coronavirus. The recovery ratio in Pakistan is over 77%. Coronavirus basically affected from very common people to a high official. For example, Pakistan's foreign minister is one of the person who contracted coronavirus, and he has recovered as well. In terms of response at international level, Pakistan's used this opportunity to project itself and to highlight its role in regional affairs. Soon after the outbreak of this pandemic, um, Pakistani Prime Minister, who had developed a closer relationship with the US leadership recently, emphasized upon President Trump to ease sanction on Iran, which had been facing a severe blow of this pandemic. Pakistani Prime Minister also spoke to the leadership in Europe, in Asia, and Africa. Pakistani Prime Minister also spoke to the head of WHO. Pakistani Prime Minister also addressed the World Economic Forum, and he also addressed international labor organizations via video conferences. And before the next session of G20 countries, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan addressed the big economies to consider to provide relief to developing countries who came under considerable stress after the outbreak of coronavirus. So, as a result of his efforts, IMF, World Bank, as well as G20 countries consider to provide a debt relief at least to the developing countries. Regionally, Pakistan coordinated closely with its all-time friend China, and during the peak of coronavirus case, Pakistani president visited China to express his solidarity and to show his close relationship with the China. Regionally, SAW conference was also active, in which Indian Prime Minister Modi took an initiative to start a cooperation. Pakistan also responded it, but given the tense situation between the two countries, there was not much development in SARC taking steps to address this disease. Domestically, I will say that given Pakistan's political structure, the response was different at center as well as at provinces. In center, it's led by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, led by Prime Minister Imran Khan, and in one of the largest province in Sindh, its opponent are ruling the province. So the responses to this pandemic was slightly different from the center as well as in the provinces. Uh, the Sindh province, in particularly, was in favor of a complete lockdown. But at the center, the prime minister was of the view that we should go for a smart lockdown. That means instead of closing the entire city and entire provinces, the government should focus on the areas where there is a more number of cases are emerging. This strategy of a smart lockdown was essential for a country which has weak economy and whose a large number of populations rely on daily wages. So Pakistan was between the two boats, whether it should face pandemic spreading or it should lock down and its economy affecting its common people. So Pakistan tried to adopt a middle way and used the technique of spot lockdown and close only those areas which were affected and where the center of local pandemic was found. From health point of view, this pandemic has affected Pakistan's and exposed its health system. Pakistan found a lot of gaps in health system, which was not able to cope with a crisis of such a large scale. And Pakistan was also exposed to its over dependence for medical equipment. But as the Prime Minister said, that any big crisis also brings new opportunities. So, in terms of opportunities, Pakistan, for the first time out of this crisis, as it found a shortage of ventilators, Pakistan began to develop its own ventilators, and by early June, there was a Pakistan-made ventilator in the market. And similarly, Pakistan has not ever paid attention to produce its own mask, face mask, and as a result of this pandemic, Pakistan began to produce face mask as well, and the quantity of both ventilator and face mask is sufficient enough to address the current crisis. And Pakistani government even claimed that in the coming days they could even export the ventilators. Third response, because majority of Pakistani people live on daily wages. As a result of lockdown, as a result of this crisis, it affected the common people very badly. So to sustain their living, Pakistani government introduced one of the largest package of country's history, and on the basis of national data, those families who have very low income, they were provided a stipend of about 12,000 Pakistani rupees on for a 3 month periods. This provided a small relief to those people who are affected by this crisis. In short, Pakistani government's response may not be an ideal, but it has tried to cope with this crisis at domestic level and internationally, and it has tried to make a balance between its economy as well as its resources and how to address this crisis. We do not know what is its future, but thus far the government is successful in addressing this crisis given its limited resources.